Hello, and welcome to East to West WLS, the podcast where we support the bariatric community with humor, humility, and honesty. I'm April, and I'm the West.
And I'm Jason, and I'm the East.
Today, we have the unbelievable opportunity to interview Miss Jana from BariBox. Hi, Jana.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh, we are so excited to talk to you today. I know we were convincing a little bit before we officially hit record, but this episode I am so excited about because not only are you a dietitian, you've worked in the bariatric community for a very long time, you understand the struggle of living life at a healthy weight. And not only are you serving the community through what you do as a dietitian, but you have started a company and a meal delivery service that is specific to bariatric patients, and it looks amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, this was sort of, I call it my Barry baby, or my, because this is something that I've been wanting to do forever. And I've been working with bariatric patients for about 6 years now as a registered dietitian. Even before becoming a registered dietitian, I was in worksite wellness for a good 7.5 or so years. So wellness has been my life forever, and making eating easier for people is really my mission.
And well, when Jason and I came across your BariBox page on Instagram, he and I, we normally talk on Instagram, but I think he called me on the phone and he was like, yo, you cannot believe what I just found. And this was like months ago. And so ever since then, we've been stalking the page. We are always looking at the website. Your menus just look amazing. And they're very varied and seasonal and just lots of different offerings. I mean, it is really an awesome service for the community.
Thank you. Yeah, and we're just coming up on 1 year in April, so I'm very excited to just be able to give this service to people, plus to understand what everyone's going through, because I talk to thousands of patients every year, so I understand that meal prep, your relationship with food, and just understanding what suits your body well is one of the biggest challenges for life when you're getting surgery.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things April and I really keyed on and talked about. We talk about it a lot, actually, in the episodes, is where you get your bariatric Bible, they call, when you leave the hospital, and it's your little binder and it's got your stuff in it. And it just has a sheet that just says, at this many months, you got to be at 800 calories. At this many, it's got to be 12. It's got to be 15. But it doesn't say how to do that. Now, as me living 25 plus years as a very large person, I know how to get in 1,800, 2,500 calories in a meal, no problem. It's not going to be the right way, but I can get them. Like, I'll meet your little goal all day long. But if you don't tell me how I need to be doing that, then we have a problem. And that's where a lot of what you're providing is really, makes it a lot easier for people, because not only is it something that you're providing for them that they can just easily put together, but also it's a learning tool for them to be able to process on their own the things that they should be buying, the ingredients and how they come together and marry, these amazing flavors that not only satisfy you, as a meal, but also helps you meet your nutritional goals in a positive way.
That's right. And all of the meals are about the same amount of calories, protein grams, in terms of macronutrients, same amount of fat, carbs. So you can actually look and say, oh, you know what, maybe my meal should be less than about 250, 300 calories. And of course, not every body is exactly the same, and that's okay. But on average, knowing what you should be getting per meal so that you're not overeating consistently is helpful.
Yes, definitely.
Key to long-term success.
Yeah.
So before we really dive into this conversation, I want to get a little bit of house cleaning out of the way. If a podcast is maybe not your favorite way to learn, we highly encourage you to check out our YouTube channel. If you're already watching there, you see we are adorable human beings and we're very animated when we talk. So definitely check out our YouTube channel. It has all of this episode and all of our previous episodes. It has virtual bariatric meetup recordings, all kinds of good stuff. So just head to YouTube, type in East, the number 2, West _WLS, the podcast, and our page will pop up. And in case you guys are wondering, Jason and I both had a type of bariatric surgery called vertical sleeve gastrectomy, or VSG for short. He and I have lost over 350 pounds combined. I've been maintaining for 18 months. Jason has been losing consistently for almost a year now. Jana has not had bariatric surgery, but she has been very involved in this community for a long time. And I know that when we kind of dive into our conversation, you're going to explain to us kind of your weight story. And it's one that you have been interacting with for a very, very long time. So yep. So we will absolutely get into that. So I think that was all the house cleaning that I had to do. We're just, like I said, we're so excited to talk to you today just about your work in the bariatric community, about how we can reincorporate food and really kind of like reframe our thinking around food and kind of make it something that we're thinking about in a different way than maybe we have before surgery. And then of course, just learn more about BariBox. We are so excited to.
That's awesome.
All right. Okay. So you guys ready? Should we do this?
Let's do it.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Okay. So Jana, we always love to give our guests kind of the floor in the beginning and then at the end of the episode, but will you just take a moment and just let us know what makes you you? How did you become the person that you are today?
All right, thank you. So I grew up in New York in the 80s when dieting culture was huge. And I was already a little bit overweight when I was about 6 years old. My parents left to go to France for a good 2 weeks, sent me to my cousin's house, and my cousin fed me salami, Oreos, and basically those were the two things for the 2 weeks. And
Basic food groups. Yeah. Who wouldn't be?
But, I came from a sort of a more healthy household. I would go to the Whole Foods store and whatever Whole Foods was back then. And getting some access to these types of foods made my brain go wild. I was really excited about it. So over the course of time, some people are more predisposed to becoming overweight. And that was me. And I ended up seeing my first dietitian when I was in 7th grade. So I realized, as I got a little bit older, I had diet cycling issues, binge eating disorder, absolutely, nighttime eating syndrome. And I still deal with this to this day. It's not as though these things go away. So, when I work with patients now, I should tell you, I work at one of the biggest surgery centers in America, if not in Maryland. We're at the Greater Baltimore Medical Center. And we have thousands of patients every single year who are getting surgery. I work with Dr. Betsy Dovek, and we have a really awesome relationship, and I love working with her. But we see a lot of people, and I think that one of the biggest misconceptions after surgery is that surgery is going to heal you and cure you. And in a way, it does. In a way, it does. It gives you an opportunity. But if there are still issues that you're dealing with, like using food as an outlet or overeating, to the point, like you still have to deal with it, right? So with that said, this is where I'm coming from. This is where I try to empathize with our patients and anyone that I really talk to about their relationship with food, because you talk to anyone and everyone has their own story about food.
Yes. Everybody.
Can you explain nighttime eating disorder for those who may not understand? Because everybody knows overeating and just all the usuals, but nighttime is a new one.
So it's when you consume a majority of your calories at night, basically. And some people will eat in the middle of the night. Some people will just not eat much during the day, and then after dinner, save most of their calories, even subconsciously, for after a certain time frame. So, yeah.
So this isn't referring to like you're eating as you're like sleeping, like sleepwalk eating. This is just when the sun goes down, you get the urge to eat most of your calories for the day. So really, you're just completely flipped the circadian rhythm, right? So like our bodies and our minds are wired to eat when the sun is up, and when the sun goes down, that's when our body does all kinds of processing. And really, from my understanding, what science is discovering is that the healthy time to eat is a shorter period during the sun hours. And then when the sun goes down, your body kind of switches gears, even your organs switch gears, and it wants to do this like recovery work. But if you're eating during that time, then it throws everything off.
Right. unless you're wide awake and working during that time, is when I would potentially say, like, yeah, maybe you should eat your calories during the time frame that you're actually up working. But if you're not up and working and you're supposed to be asleep, and you're fueling yourself with lots of calories before you go to bed, then you're not going to get that recovery usually.
Oh.
So I would say also, a lot of dietitians would say it doesn't really matter what time you eat, just as long as you're not overeating your calories, based on your basal metabolic rate.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I will say that most people that I talk to, if they're not eating during the daytime hours and they're not divvying out their calories so that their blood sugar is all over the place. I mean, a lot of this comes back down to blood sugar, because if you're sort of low for the whole day, and then all of a sudden you have some food and then you're like, wait a minute, I'm actually really hungry, your blood sugar will go up and then crash and then you're asleep. So I do work with patients a lot on timing of their meals. Even if it's not exact, it doesn't need to be exact, but it could be like, okay, around this time, maybe every 3 to 5 hours, you should be having something. And within two hours of waking up, and then everyone, of course, asks, well, what about intermittent fasting? And I'm like, well, it's just one other way of eating, and
Yeah.
it doesn't mean it's best for you after bariatric surgery. I don't know. We can dive into that, because every single person is so different. But if you're getting your protein goals in and you're divvying out your protein, because do you guys know that, I'm sure you do, we only absorb a certain amount of protein at a time, up to 30 grams of protein. So like you have to almost divvy it out in order to reach your 60 to 100 grams of protein, whatever you're required to get per day. You can't get that in 1 or 2 meals usually.
No, and especially after bariatric surgery, no matter what kind of or type of surgery you've had, you are very restricted on how much you can eat. And I think sometimes people will use that as an excuse to just eat whatever they want, right? It's this all or nothing mentality. It's like, well, I can't get that in, and oh, this is just a waste, and oh my gosh, why did I do this? And then they kind of slide back into their old eating habits.
Totally.
And right. And I think what makes bariatric surgery such a difficult procedure is, I mean, not only have you physically altered your body, but like where Jason's at, right? You're kind of approaching this year. And I think really between the 9 and 12 month mark, you lose most of your weight and everything kind of starts to stabilize. And then all of a sudden you realize, oh, wait a minute, I still am struggling with the same mental things that I was before surgery. It's just now I have this tool that really sends me, concrete hunger signals, right? I can eat less. I'm restricted. I have more of my mind back because food and obesity isn't really cluttering that. But my issues are still there. And those issues are food related. I mean, it's mindset, it's addiction, or it's dependence, or it's tolerance. It's all of these things that really contributed to our higher weight before surgery. Those things did not go away. Right. And when you were saying like, well, this is a tool, it really clicked in my brain. Somebody who had their knee replaced. Okay, you have a new knee. Great. But if you misuse your body and your knee and the way that you did before, you're still going to have knee issues, right? So it's just like, it's the same thing. You could get a new part or you could get this medical tool, but if you don't use that tool in the way that it's designed, nothing is going to change for you. And it's the exact same thing with bariatric surgery.
And you can actually flip that and look at it like, if you're ever overweight or obese and you lose the weight, you still have a chance to regain back the weight. That's always there. It's considered a condition for a reason. It's like, with the knee or diabetes. Like if you control your diabetes, it doesn't mean like, oh, okay, we're good, we're done. There's no means to an end. You have to control it for life. So it's the same thing with weight. You got to control it for life. And I have the best analogy. You want to hear it? It's when someone says, oh, well, I ate this and I was like, I blew it for the day, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. And in the back of your mind, you realize, oh my God, that's like a subconscious, it's a subconscious excuse to be able to just sort of give yourself a break. But then on the other hand, it's like, someone once said to me, it's like if you're in the car and you're on the highway, and I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. You're on the highway, you miss the exit. And it's like, you just said, well, you know what? I missed the exit. I'm just going to drive right down to Florida. It's fine.
Right.
The same thing. Nobody.
I like to use the one that's like if you were an alcoholic and you had cirrhosis, but you got a new liver and you just decided like first stop from your new liver is to hit the bar. Like, right? Let's not do that because you're going to ruin the new liver. And that, I mean, that, a lot of that's the thing. Like for me, my issues with that are cyclical. Like I'll go for a long time and I'll be golden. Like I'll be committed. I'll be dialed in. I'll be killing like I'm supposed to be doing. And then it just one meal, something will just click, and I have to really, really fight and struggle to not give in to whatever it is I'm going for. And that's the thing, is because you'll get to a point you start getting comfortable, like, oh yeah, no, this is good. It's like, oh, I'm doing this. And the next thing you know, it just smacks you out of nowhere. It's like getting hit by a car. You're just like, oh God. And then you're like, I don't even want that, but your mind just won't get off of it.
Right. And then it's almost like at a certain point tied to morality. It's like, oh my God, why did I do that? Why did I eat that? Or why are the numbers going up? Like what? Instead, I always tell our patients, you could ask the same exact question, just change your tone slightly and say, why did I do that? Okay. All right. You'll get a better answer.
Yes.
Or at least you'll get an answer.
Right. Yeah. And I swear to God, what I always, when people ask me, well, what's the biggest thing that changed after surgery? Before surgery, my brain was hijacked by food. 90% of it was dedicated to food in some capacity, thinking about it, prepping about it, obsessing about it, eating it, whatever. Right. Well, after surgery, I realized, oh my God, that the procedure really gave me a break from that food. And it was almost like my brain just was cleared of it. So now I have 90% of my brain to think about why I use food in the way that I did, right? And just to think about other things. And that shift in questioning has been so powerful, because like what Jason's realizing, it's like, you're cruising along and everything's great. And then you hit that one moment or that one day or that one meal, and it just bloop, kicks you back a year, right? Or it just kicks you back to that old ingrained thinking. Yeah. But you're right. But the amazing thing about surgery is it gives you the capacity to ask that question exactly. Why am I doing this? Or why am I thinking this? Or why is this such a struggle? And it's so hard to not beat yourself over about that and go to that all or nothing mentality, right? It's like you have to use every atom in your body to just stay in the present and go, okay, this is not the past. This is not the past. This is one meal. This is not a big deal. I'm not going to gain 120 pounds because I ate a slice of pizza, right? Like you're doing these mental gymnastics. Yeah. But oh my gosh, give yourself some grace and space, because you're doing the gymnastics. Like you're doing the work. This is the work of weight loss surgery. This is the work of learning to live our lives at a weight that's healthy for us. Right. If you are consistently using a negative tone with yourself when stuff like that happens, you're going to tire yourself out. Yes. So at a certain point, you really do have to ask yourself, okay, when you say, well, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? It could just be as simple as, oh, I didn't have like enough protein sources in my house. I forgot to go grocery shopping, or I got too busy and I didn't go grocery shopping. Or my husband keeps bringing in actually this stuff that's really like trigger food to me. If it's there, I'm going to eat it. Or, I've just been so tired this week that I haven't even thought about, what are my snacks? Like, what am I eating for breakfast? And it could be as simple as that, but you do have to take a step back for a second to think about those things. And I like the grace and space, having that for yourself, instead of just consistently being like, why? You can't just have that all the time. And I think that at a certain point after the honeymoon phase, which we mourn, so the honeymoon phase
and this is where BariBox comes in, because I'm like, get rid of like the decision making. Sometimes just making the decision of what you're going to eat is the hardest thing in the world. If the decision is already made for you and your environment is already stocked up and ready to go, you don't have to rely on willpower. You don't.
Yes, no, because it's already there for you. And as Jason and I we were talking again, but before we hit record, right? Jason's experience, you're getting close to a year, my friend, and you're kind of over the honeymoon phase, right? And all of a sudden you kind of sit back at your environment and you go, oh, wait a minute, they didn't actually teach me how to eat. Like they gave me a piece of paper that says these are how many calories I should be consuming and protein and my macros, but I don't really know how to get that in. I mean,
Yeah.
No, and as I approach my year and my wife is going through the motions to have the surgery as well, she told me the other day, she was like, you better get ready, because all of what you're able to do now, she's like, we're cutting all that out. She goes, because I can't have it around if I'm going to be able to be any kind of successful. She's like, because you're out. Because even though I'm not just sitting over here just plowing through cheeseburgers and whatever else, like I don't eat bad, 99.97% of the time. But she's like, I can't have any of it in the house. Like, it just can't be anywhere near me. And she knows that. And the good thing about her is she's always been able to eat the cleanest of clean that she can. Like, she loves everything clean eating. She just adores it all. I can't stand any of it. But we'll still be able to exist in our own little planes. But she's just like, yeah, all the extra funny stuff, she's like, oh, that's got to go. Like, I can't even have it around me. And I was like, no, I understand, because I really shouldn't either. So that'll be fine. It's just we'll approach it a lot different after she what she's post-op.
I almost feel like you're getting the best of every world, because if couples do it at the same time, they'll go through the same exact thing at the same time. Okay. But like, she got to learn from you, and now you're going to reap the benefit from her having it now. Wow.
Yes.
Oh, lucky ducky.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited having it staggered this way, because she was able to take care of me, but she also learned kind of the ins and outs of what to expect for herself. And now with me, especially, not only having the knowledge firsthand of going through it, but also all the knowledge that, that April and I have been able to gain throughout this whole process of us growing east to west like we have, and being able to speak with amazing people like yourself. I'll have even more of a leg up now to be able to help her than we were able to help me whenever I went through it. So
cool.
Yep.
So cool.
So how do you help bariatric patients kind of re-engage with food after surgery, right? So they've gone through the honeymoon stage, they've realizing like, oh my gosh, I really don't know how to eat, right? How do you help them get comfortable with food again?
Yeah. So first off, taking away any sort of shame, because I say to them, like, if you are even gaining a little bit of weight at a certain point, which is totally normal, a year or two after surgery, seek out the guidance of your dietitian, which is me usually in the most cases. And I'll do like, I'll have, one-on-one sessions, and I'll have my support groups on Zoom, but I'll also be able to answer those questions quickly when they're just like in the grocery store, or, if they're actually looking at a food label and saying, oh, this looks like it has low sugar and a little bit higher protein. That might be a good thing. And then running it past me. So always having that open communication with an expert that can help you through it, to give you the okay and say, yeah, this is good. Like, stock up on these things. But then also understanding what your hunger and fullness cues are. And when I say fullness, I actually mean satiety. So looking at like, those hunger and fullness scales, like where it'll say 0 is like famished, you want to eat anything, and 10 is like Thanksgiving dinner, you almost feel sick. You should be somewhere in the middle, like between a 4 and a 7, always, and not allowing yourself to get so hungry that you're at the famished point where you'll eat anything. Again, it's really relying on the skill power over the willpower. So your skills that are in place that you can practice all that time before and after surgery, of stocking up your fridge, understanding what is, bariatric appropriate. I usually honestly recommend a higher protein, lower carb profile. It doesn't mean you can never have carbohydrates, but that's the profile that you would want on average. Because really, when you think about it, if you take a step back and think about what the tool of the surgery is, it's that you get full on protein. You might not get full on high carbohydrate foods like chips, cookies, crackers, cake, candy. Those actually might in turn become slider foods at a certain point if they don't now make you sick. So, when I find that people are relying on things that are not great protein sources and they're saying, oh, I'm hungry all the time. Like, why is that? It's usually because you're not reaching your protein goals. You're not reaching your fluid goals. So we actually look at what, 3 ounces of protein would look like, talking about taking small bites, eating it first and completely first. Again, it doesn't have to be 100% of the time, but if you could do this, 75% of the time at most meals, if you have a piece of salmon, chicken, shrimp, eggs, yogurt, any chicken, lean beef, lean pork, any of those protein sources, eating that completely first, and then moving on to your other portions of the meal, that might fill you up for longer. And then you're getting ahead of that real drop in hunger, right?
And I've really found that, as I have progressed through my bariatric eating, right? I mean, my first year, I didn't have a fruit, I didn't have a vegetable, and not because I didn't want them or I don't enjoy them. It's just that by the time I got done with my protein source, I was full and, and sometimes full beyond satiation, right? I mean, I was just like, okay. And now that I'm getting, I'm 17 or 18 months post-op, I am really looking for creative ways to get in some of those other foods because I still, I think, have a lot of restrictions. Sometimes I'll see dietitians put together a beautiful bariatric meal and I will go to recreate that and I still can't get to all of my vegetable, right? Or all of my complex carbs. And
that's the struggle. Because
it is.
every single stomach is different and every single body is different. And even on different days, it's different. Like maybe one day you would be able to get through that whole thing. And then another meal, you wouldn't be able to get through that whole thing. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is just to have those tiny little Tupperware and throw in a little bit of whatever you can't finish and then have that as a little snack later on.
Yep. And that is exactly what I have gone to. So when I'm really kind of meal planning or when I'm meal prepping, I always start with protein. Protein is number one. Like what is going to be, what's the thing? And usually that's the protein that I eat kind of all day long. And then I just look for creative ways to get in like vegetables or fruit. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to have a smoothie. It's going to be tofu based, but I'm going to throw in a bunch of fruits and vegetables. Or I'm going to make us like an Asian inspired dish. And I'm going to do cauliflower fried chicken and rice or whatever it is. So, looking for those and then thinking about, well, what vegetables can I enjoy all day when they're reheated and not just right when I have prepared them. And I think sometimes what even frustrates me, and I think what is frustrating for people in this community is that you go into bariatric surgery thinking, I never am going to think about food again, or I don't have to think about food again. You're so excited about that. And then you realize, oh my God, I have to think about food all the time. And it is so annoying.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just a struggle because you just think like, I don't want to do this anymore. I do not want to think about this. I don't want to interact with this. I did this because I'm so over it, which is, I think, what makes your company, your service, your product really like that's the trade-off. So if you are in this space in your recovery where you're thinking like, I just don't want to deal with this, you can rely on a meal delivery service that is catered to bariatric people.
Right. So when I started at our hospital, I would just get people all day, every day being like, can you just make the food for me? Right. And because I would have, these lists of like the grocery lists and then the meal ideas. And I'm like, wait, people aren't eating paper, and I'm giving them this paper. They're walking out. They're like, that was nice. That was fun. Now what?
But that's a lot of work, right? That's a lot of work on top of dealing with, the mental side of things. So not only am I dealing with the mental side, now you're telling me I have to think very deeply about food?
Right.
Hell no.
Right. So when people would be like, can you just make the meals for me? Or can you just deliver my meals? I don't want to think about it. then I thought, well, there needs to be a meal delivery service. And that's when I contacted a couple of local, kitchens, and I found this one kitchen that made all of their stuff fresh every single week. And, so it's not like sitting in a freezer for months, and, because everyone deserves really fresh food. And then I figured, well, if we're going to do that, then patients can get, the BariBox meals and then supplement with easy stuff like, frozen turkey burgers and cauliflower rice and, cans of tuna and cans of chicken. And like, you can have things for other meals. We also do protein shakes. So you can buy the protein powders. We have all different flavors. We're also coming up with desserts. So we're going to be rolling out desserts actually today or tomorrow. Yes, we're doing peanut butter brownies, which are my favorite thing. We're doing a coconut bliss bar, and we're doing a pumpkin cheesecake. So they're all a ridiculously low amount of calories. They're anywhere from 30 to 50 calories per serving, and they're like a semi-big serving, and that's a nice thing to have on the side when you just want something sweet, cool, and it doesn't have that sickly sweet flavor, which I can't stand when it comes to the sugar-free stuff. So I don't know. It's just nice to have stuff that's already pre-prepared for you. We do it, there are meal delivery services for everyone else. Why can't there be one for bariatric patients?
100%.
And, yeah. And I was like, you guys deserve this. You've put in so much work that, it's like, okay, where's the payback, and then this is hopefully one tool that can help a little bit.
I think it helps more than a little bit, because really when I was looking on your website, and I look pretty often because your menu always changes, which I very much appreciate. And you're always rolling out new and different things, but you also have meals catered to where you are in the stage. So you even have like pre-op. So you've got like pre-op diet options, and then you've got like pureed stage. I mean, like no matter where you are in your bariatric journey, you provide a service for people.
Yes.
And it comes straight to their home. I mean,
yeah. So I do want to mention that we do pre-op, we do post-op. We had puree, we took it away for a little bit. However, any of the meals that you get from BariBox are soft enough that they can be pureed. So we've made sure that the sauces and the moisture is high enough that everything can be pureed, and it can be eaten at most stages of the whole time. Because really, when it comes down to it, when people are like, oh, I can't tolerate chicken, I can't tolerate this, that, it's usually because of the moisture and how quickly you're eating it and if you're chewing it enough. So what we did was we made the pieces a little bit smaller. We made them more moist and softer.
Oh, interesting.
I can't tell you how afraid I was of all the things people said that they could not tolerate post-op. And literally the only two things that I have that I was unable to tolerate post-op for me was lettuce in the early stages and Greek yogurt, period. I still can't do yogurt of any kind. It still cramps my stomach up. But lettuce I've been able to add back into the fold, and it won't cramp my stomach up, but it makes me extremely full very fast with just a few little shreds of it, and I'm done. I can be done eating for like a couple of hours.
Very interesting. Do you guys use papaya enzymes ever? After you
No, but I have a very close friend who's been using them for years now to aid with her digestion, and I'm pretty convinced. And she might have actually had this confirmed, but she either is or she could be lactose intolerant, and she takes those enzymes every day. And really, since she's been doing that, it's been a night and day difference for her. I didn't even think about that for you, Jason.
Yeah. So anytime you're not tolerating something, you could always, if you're mentally willing to try a food that doesn't digest well, and give it another shot, then have the papaya enzymes right there, and you pop, like, I think it's about like 3 or 4 of them after you eat. And it's just adding in more enzymes that we already have in our body to break down and digest the food, but you're just adding more of them. So it helps the digestive process.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing, but I figured that was something
Yeah.
fancy enough that April would know about it. But so of course she knew because that's
Yeah.
I know a lot of
April.
things, not all the things.
April's got the secrets.
So bougie ass April, that's what that is.
Hey,
Old high
that's why.
society ass over there.
Hey, papaya enzymes for the win, man. I'm telling
Yep.
you.
Mhm.
Hey, I introduce you to the bougie things. You introduce me to all the other good things that you've got where you live that I have no clue about. I mean,
That's
yeah.
true. That's true.
I mean, it takes all kinds.
Yeah.
So, Jana, how do you recommend people? So, if they're not quite ready to maybe to pull the trigger on a meal delivery service like yours, and they want to give meal prep or meal planning a try on their own, where do you recommend they start? So, if somebody's just super overwhelmed with everything,
Right.
where's the most effective and the easiest place for people to start on their own?
Okay, so I always feel like people just jump in and they want to go like Instagram level meal prep, like beautiful. No, you don't have to go there. You can just purchase good Tupperware, like know where your lids are. You can even get glass Tupperware because that's microwave safe, or anything that's like BPA free, microwave safe, because you want to be able to heat things up.
Yeah.
Also organize your Tupperware cabinet. Notice I'm just starting with the Tupperware. Organize it. Don't have everything all over the place. And then you can start small. You could start with just like, if you know that you usually around 3 o'clock go for the chips, get the chips out of the house and start to meal prep just your snacks. Or you can pick one meal, or actually, you know what? And this is how I do it, because I find that this works for me. Doing it just the day before for the next day and the day after. Like, you don't have to do it for the whole week, breakfast, lunch, dinner. No, you do it the night before for the next like day or two. And that usually works for a lot of people. Also, know what you have in your refrigerator. I know someone who puts it on a whiteboard actually, so that she doesn't like waste all the stuff. And if you really want to incorporate more, you were talking about fruits and vegetables into your diet, don't let them die in the back of the fridge. You can purchase them, wash them up, and I always just cut them right then and there before they even get into the fridge. I put them in the Tupperware so I can just scoop them out and throw them in, or cook them right away. And then just have those ready to go. And actually, April, you had said something about, or maybe I don't know. Someone said that they want stuff that will reheat well and that will still taste good, after a couple of a day or two. So know which ones you can tolerate after a day or two. Like for me, I don't love zucchini after a couple of days, but I do not mind butternut squash and broccoli. I think those can stay pretty long. So, that kind of stuff. Or freeze a bunch of the stuff that you make. Make next time you cook, make double the amount, freeze half of it.
We Grady did that the other day. I don't know what he made, a lentil soup, or it was some type of soup in the Instapot, and it made just a massive amount of food. And he and I were like, oh my gosh, that is just so much. Well, we ended up freezing them in, freezer safe mason jars. So his serving was a little bit larger, and I put mine in little tiny guys. And it's really nice that on days where I'm like, oh my God, I just don't want to cook. And I can go to the freezer and I can set it out on the counter. And by the time it's lunch or dinner time, it's good to go. So that's been a big help. But the other thing that you said too, which kind of struck me and my brain just went there, it's like, if you're doing okay in some areas, but you're really struggling with your snacks, then just start by prepping your snacks. And even if prepping is finding bariatric friendly pre-made options, do that and get those in your home, right? Or just start small, start with the area where you're most struggling and make little tweaks and get in the habit of kind of thinking just a little bit ahead. And like you said, not thinking ahead for the whole week, think ahead for today and tomorrow and call it good.
Well, because that's one of the things that, we talk about a lot is making changes in such a way that, after surgery, we're trying to learn how to do stuff that we, like for myself, I haven't done in 25 years because that's how long I was overweight. If you didn't meal prep before surgery, you're not just going to jump into knowing how to meal prep post-op. The same way is if you didn't spend 10 hours a day at the gym before you got the surgery, you're not going to be a gym rat when you're done. You may develop that trait as you go. The more you get introduced to it and enjoy it, you may, transfer a little bit of your, a little bit of that energy over to that. And that may be something you incorporate, but you're not just going to start off going, well, I never went to the gym before, but now I'm doing 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I'm like, it's not going to work that way.
Jason, this is the number one biggest struggle that I see with pre-op patients. It's when I get the surgery, that's when I'm going to start.
Yep.
Okay. Now, by the way, there are some people that do it and they do it big and they continue for years.
Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. If you're that type of person, way to go. Okay. But again, the surgery doesn't solve the underlying issues of what am I doing in my everyday life? How am I treating myself? Am I sleeping well? Am I preparing my meals? Am I exercising at all? Am I even getting up and walking around during the day? Those types of things can be easily thought about at least and considered before surgery, because if you're not going to do it now, there's going to be less motivation to do it after surgery, because surgery is going to help you to lose weight quicker. And you're going to be like, oh, well, I'm good. I actually don't need to do as much. And then once the honeymoon phase is over, then it's like, well, what the heck? Why are things slowing down? We had mentioned mourning the honeymoon phase earlier, and this is something that I've been talking about a lot in my support groups for post-op patients. I have two different support groups, by the way, for pre-op and post-op. Everyone's allowed to come, but it's a different focus for sure. And with post-op patients that are just outside of the honeymoon, or years out, 10 years out, I don't care. Everyone still mourns it because they think, well, I got off track and now I'm going to get back on track, and I'm going to expect the rate of weight loss as it was in the beginning, and it just never happens, and it's very upsetting.
Yeah, that's I would. Couch reset, the refocus, I'm really going to double down. I'm going back to all liquids. I'm going to do this and that.
Well, and then it's like, why am I only losing 1 pound a week? And it's like, because that's the normal rate of weight loss after you're outside of the honeymoon phase.
Right. That's why they tell you to focus so much on getting all your, the majority of your progress done in that 9 to 12 month period, because that's when your body's changing the most and accepting what you're doing at such a high rate.
Right.
So that's why you got to put that work in to really nail it down before your body starts slowing down.
Right. And then realizing at the end of that phase that there is no means to an end. This just keeps going. And there are other benefits to eating healthy, not just from the scale, but from feeling better and not feeling like you want to take a nap after every meal. And, even just feeling more confident. Like, look at me, I'm preparing my meals. I'm an adult.
Well, it's that mindset shift, right? It's moving away from the scale is my only marker of progress to, oh, wait a minute, my lifelong goal is actually metabolic wellness. It's the things that are going to allow me to have this long, healthy life where I can do things. It's not just the scale.
Right.
Oh, so really, in a way, it is related to food, but it isn't, right? Because food is the gateway to health, right? So instead of putting all of our eggs on the scale, so to speak, we really should be putting all of our eggs, so to speak, in this nutritional basket, because that is what's going to deliver us the results that we really, truly always wanted, right? The surface level was, I want to look good and I want to weigh X number of pounds. But really that deep down desire is this long, healthy, fulfilling life. And we get there by really thinking constantly about food.
Right. And to piggyback on that, to just continue that thought process, when you're thinking about food, you don't need to be perfect to actually lose weight and to feel good. You need to meet yourself somewhere in the middle, because if you're perfect, you can't do that for life. You can't be perfect for life. You can't be on 100% for life. So somewhere in the middle, it's either 0 or 100, but why can't we just do 60 all the time forever?
Oh my God. You know what just popped into my head when you were saying that? Oh my gosh. Like when you're in the car driving down the road, you're going to cross the line every now and then, right? So I'm not a perfect driver, but
Yeah.
I'm not getting into accidents left and right. I'm not like hitting the guardrails. I'm not swerving. I'm not, I'm staying within this, but really that's the goal. The goal is to keep going down the road and to not get in these accidents.
Yeah, you're still getting to your destination.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Which is so like, oh my God, like, duh.
You need
But
everyone needs good analogies to be like, oh, right. There's no perfect thing. And that's where I see the seesaw all the time, where people are like, oh, I'm on track. I'm not on track. I'm on track. I'm not on track. How many times can you go back and forth? If you can just sort of like swerve a little bit and move your way towards the goal, then, you're fine.
Yeah, you're still going to get there. The end result is you wind up at your destination. It's just, it may not be the straightest path, which once again, everybody who's been through this surgery knows there is no A to Z direct straight line in what we've got going on. There's going to be turns and bumps and all the way down the road. So it just matters that you show up at your destination.
Yeah. And unfortunately with social media and these amazing support groups online, I'm actually one of the moderators of a bigger support group for like our patients and other people that want to come in. You see the reels, the highlight reels of everyone's journey, and then also you see the slip up reels of like, oh yeah, this month I slipped up, but I'm back. But you don't see like, I don't know, I got stressed and I ate like a bag of chips. Like nobody's posting that. So you're not seeing really like the real deal. You're just seeing these really amazing stories and maybe these like really like crazy, I got off track and I gained 40 pounds stories. You don't see somewhere in the middle.
That's why I'm always so honest about my cracker slips.
Yeah.
My dumbass tore off and ate a box of Cheez-Its, and it took me a couple of days, but I ate that whole damn box, and I kept it in a cabinet where nobody else knew it was there. I did all the sabotagey things. It was there. I felt dirty. Just ugh.
Yeah, and you know what? Let me say this too, because you just said Cheez-Its, and my brain went woo, because anything that you could eat a garbage bag of before surgery, you could eat maybe a smaller garbage bag of after surgery.
Eat the same garbage bag, it just may take you a week versus a day.
And those are Cheez-Its. That's popcorn. Like, does it mean that you can't have it afterwards? No, but know your limits, know your boundaries, and trust that, maybe just keeping small amounts or something,
Yeah, a handful of Cheez-Its is better than skipping a meal to be able to eat a bowl full of Cheez-Its. Right. Which is routinely what I will do if I have the family size box in my little pantry behind me. I do that I'll be like, yeah, I could eat lunch, but I could also eat this whole bowl of Cheez-Its and then I don't have to have lunch. And this is so much better than lunch. So let's just do that and then I can keep it moving.
Yeah. And if you have if one has any binge eating tendencies where it's more pleasurable to eat a very large amount of that type of food than eating a small amount at all. Like you'd almost rather not eat any of it because you'd rather binge on it than just keep it out of the house altogether.
Yeah.
And I think this is the fine line that we all have to walk, right? To find lasting success, we really have to, for the first time probably ever, get very honest about who we are in relationship to food. Mm-hmm. And then we have to move forward with that truth always as our lens, right? Yeah. Because if I know that I'm gonna eat I love Cheetos, right? Same thing. I can't have them in the house because I'm gonna freaking eat them. So I know that is just the truth of it. And I would love to say like food isn't contraband. And I truly believe that is the case. Food is not contraband. But for me, a bag of Cheetos is a no-go, right? So I either need to not keep them in the house, or when I do have them, or if they're in my house, or if they're other people's houses, I need to be very conscious about what I'm doing.
Right.
And if I ate Cheetos every single day, I'm going to weigh what I weighed after surgery, before surgery. Just because I'm eating smaller amounts of them, I'm still eating something that is not nutritious for me. Right. So
Right.
it's just going into this with a new awareness and using that lens of truth to really help me make a decision that is best for me long term. I might want that right now, but what I want now is not necessarily what's better for me in the long run. And
Ooh, I
right?
I have something for you. I
Oh,
have something for you both. It's called present bias. Do you know about this? Okay.
no.
Oh,
I recently did a whole presentation on it. It's basically in that moment of choosing, do I want the Cheetos? Do I want to go to the gym? Do I want to cook a healthy meal? Your brain is always going to tell you the path of less resistance. It's always going to say the easier thing to do,
Mhm.
but it's afterwards that we reap the benefits. So like for instance, do you ever wake up in the morning and you know that you want to do, you knew you wanted to do a workout the night before, and you woke up and in that very moment your brain said, just you don't need to do that today. But after the workout, do you ever say, I regret that, I shouldn't have done that? No. And it's the same thing with like the snack foods and the crap foods, in that moment, it's like, yes, eat it. But then afterwards, you're like, oh, why did I eat that? Like it didn't even satisfy me. So it's the before and the after, that present bias. Your brain is always going to tell you, do the thing that's easiest and most pleasurable in that moment. And you have to override it.
damn, that sucks. See, it's funny that you say that.
Sucks.
It's funny that you say that though, because April knows that I have to where I buy, like we have Aldi here in Florida where I live, and that's where I buy my protein bars because they have a protein bar that that's just what I do. I can't, I've tried to get out, I just can't. They're amazing. So but that's the same place that, because I can't eat actual Cheez-Its because they're too salty and I just can't, it's too much. But they sell like bootleg Cheez-Its at Aldi, and it's in a family box, a giant box. And I love it. That's like crack to me. I'll blow through the whole thing. But to get my bars, I have to go where the crackers are. So I had to literally just block it out, because if you walk directly in the store and go straight down the aisle, that's where the Cheez-Its are. But if you break off and go the other way, I could get to my protein bars, get to check out, and not ever go near the crackers. So I literally had to alter my route through the store to be able to keep myself from being in that moment, because my thought was always be like, well, the grandkids will eat them, my wife will eat them, well, whatever. Well, I wasn't giving them the opportunity to do so because I would never tell them they were in the house.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I know. And so what you did was you prevented the present bias from even happening in the first place. It reminds me of when I tell people like who are really just starting to want to exercise in the morning in particular is very difficult, but you get it out of the way. Okay. I'll tell people, okay, set your alarm, know what you're going to do in the morning, and then take your clothing. I know this is going to sound weird, but take your clothing and put it in the sink, or put it in a place that you will trip over it. Like if you put it in the sink, you can't turn on the sink if you go to the bathroom. You have to pick it up. You have to pick up the clothing, and you actually have to put it on. So that's just like one level of barrier that's taken away. If the clothing is on the floor right next to your bed and you're about to trip over it, if you stand up, that's good. So have it there so you can't like even get past it without seeing it.
I have such a superhuman brain. I would probably have to drag my Peloton from one room and leave it. And my husband would have to put it so that when I went to swing out of bed, I would hit the Peloton and I'd be so fucking angry at it. They'd be like, God! And then I would just have to get on it and ride it. But maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe I need to actually stumble over my Peloton before I can go to use the restroom.
That's right.
Oh my God. Well, and we talk about
yourself.
And we talk about this all the time. Like one of our favorite graphics and one of our favorite sayings is that if we want to make lasting change, we have to choose what we want most over what we want right now. Right?
Yes. Oh my God, that's it.
Yeah, it is. It is the present bias. We're just using different words. So, but it's one thing to know that, right? It's one thing to know, okay, But how do we actually make that choice? Like, how do we come to the precipice of the present? Yes. How do we override it?
So knowing it is the first step, because knowing that your brain does that is the first step. Because when I learned about this and I was trying to get up in the morning and I had that voice in my head saying, don't do it, don't get out of bed. Then what I did was I literally just got up and I said, I'm just going to go to the bathroom. I'm just going to go to the bathroom. But if I go to the bathroom and then I turn on the faucet, there's my, so if you could just make one step, I'll just go to the gym for 15 minutes. What's 15 minutes? Anyone can do anything for 15 minutes. You're not going to go for 15 minutes. You're going to stay longer. So that kind of thing, Jason, he went around the other way. He went around, he didn't even have to pass the Cheez-Its. So that kind of thing where you're just avoiding it altogether is the only way to do it. But I think knowing it in the first place, that it's the thing we automatically do, just like knowing that certain foods will produce, okay, this is another thing, like going, especially working from home, if you're ever bored, stressed, angry, procrastinating, any of those reasons to go get a snack, that's an inherently negative feeling in your brain. So it's seeking out something positive. So when you go eat something, your brain will produce dopamine, endorphins. So subconsciously, we're going to seek that out. If we just know that and we know, when we're not feeling great, subconsciously we're going to seek out snack foods because they produce those happy hormones.
Yeah.
And you could just say, okay, I know what's happening. Let me do something else.
Well, and I guess, yeah, everybody that we've talked to and all of the, I'm thumbing, this is last month's Bariatric Book Club book, this book on Fuck Yourself, which is absolutely screwed with my brain in the best possible way. Yeah. But everybody is kind of saying the same thing. But I think what I'm finally starting to realize is that it's the power in knowing what's going on. It isn't that you necessarily, I mean, you do have to do something different, but it's almost like coming to the realization of, there is nothing wrong with me. Mm-hmm. My brain is actually doing what it is wired to do, right, which is to keep me alive and present me with the most efficient way out of pain and discomfort. It's actually built this way. And it's just the fact that modern life is not built for my brain, and that all of these companies and people and things have figured out, I can use my brain structure against myself to like get me to spend money or to eat their food or to think a certain way. It's like, wait a minute, my brain is doing what it's supposed to do. There is nothing wrong with me. It's modern life that's wrong. Right. And I need to make different choices to actually live the life that I want, not the life that somebody else is telling me I need or that I want.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Well, yeah, and knowing that you're faced with that is one of the biggest steps, because at that point, then you can start formulating the plan to move around it and make yourself better, make better choices. But you've got to know what you're facing to even start.
Right.
Yes. Well, and I found the page I think I was looking for. So in this book, one of his chapters is I'm not my thoughts, I am what I do. And he basically says, like, look, you're going to encounter these things that you don't want to do all the time. But as soon as you encounter that, you need to act differently. You need to just do it, because you're never going to be in the right mood, right? He says, like on this page, don't wait for the mood to strike. Don't get stuck looking for that magic feeling that the work is going to do itself for you. You just have to go do it, which is exactly what you're saying. Just go do it.
Right. So then I guess another way to, because I like that idea of not waiting for the motivation, because it's not always going to be there. Maybe once in a while, great, cool.
Yeah. Yes.
But making it a habit will produce like the actual new pathways in your brain to start to do the things over and over again. So like, for instance, in the beginning, when you just start a new habit, it's very difficult. I mean, change is difficult in general, and it's a very negative thing, change for our brain. But once you start doing it over and over over and over again. And that includes, going around the Cheez-Its, and that includes making your snack foods and making your lunches. And that includes going and exercising. It would feel weird to not do it after a while, because that's the new pathway of the brain. So then you don't have to rely on motivation anymore, because it's just something.
Well, and really, and as we have been learning in all these conversations, action is what produces motivation. Everybody thinks like, oh, motivation should just be there, and then I'm gonna go do it. No. That's actually not how that works at all.
I love that. Yeah.
You actually have to do the thing and just do it, despite your push to not do it. Just do it. Yeah. And the more that you just do it, you will grow in your motivation to do those things. So it's almost like, our thinking about this is completely do it. Take action, and the action creates motivation. The motivation is never going to be there. You just have to do it, and then the motivation will build over time. And that's like what a habit is. That habit is actually building up the motivation to continue to do those things. But if you don't take action, you're never going to have the motivation to do it.
Right, because really, when we're thinking about the last time we did something and how good that felt, we're thinking about the after of it, not
absolutely
the before.
No.
So it is doing it and having the after effect really motivate us for the next time.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, as always, these conversations, I'm always left just going like, what the hell just happened? Like, I don't understand. How did I not know this before? But again, this is what Jason and I always say. The power of having these conversations is that somebody that we have not talked to yet says one thing, and all of a sudden you're like, ding. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. That was the connection. It's the brain. I can literally feel the synapses in my brain go,
yes.
Connection.
It honestly, our journey in this podcast, and I was thinking about this the other night, it's like we're putting together one of those extremely hard all white jigsaw puzzles that you just don't know what's what, and we just continue to put like little pieces places, and there's just every time we get a new piece, we're just sitting back like one more piece, and then we still look at all the pieces that are left that we haven't found yet. We're just like, and we keep going.
And I think what's important is that a lot of the stuff that has been talked about in the podcast is similar, but you're just hearing it again and again in different ways. And you need that repetition. Everyone needs the repetition when they're trying to do something that's not the easiest thing in the world, which is to maintain our weight losses.
That's, and when I always am thinking about this, but it's like, I keep thinking to myself, God, I've heard this before. But every time I hear something that's contradictory to what either I believe, to my old mindset or to my current mindset, right? To my old habits, to my old beliefs, I hear something that contradicts that. And my brain goes, that just can't be right, because you've lived like this for so long. Mm-hmm. But the more conversations we have, and the more that we hear, we're hearing the same consistent thing. And it's that consistent butting up against my old beliefs and my old mindset that is allowing that change to happen. Because the more I hear this, my brain's going, wait a minute, this is right. This is correct. My old way of thinking, that's not right. And oh my God, it's like moving a mountain. But the more that I hear this from everybody in different facets of life, everybody's saying the same thing. They're just saying it with a different lens or a different twist or a little bit of a different accent, whatever it is. It's like, wait a minute, everybody who is living the life that I want to live, right? That has the habits that I want to have. They're all doing this same thing. And it's not what I have been doing, but I want to get there. And just hearing it over and over and over again is what's helping me make that shift.
Unfortunately, I think that there's a huge weight bias in our country, maybe our world, but the messages that we get from advertising and from really all places everywhere, even your own doctor, sometimes it's not positive. So, when we're just trying to relearn these things that were taught to us for years, and we are learning, like, small changes are better. Food really does impact our weight over time. We don't need to lose weight all of a sudden really quickly in order to be healthy. This kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I just think that, those things have been ingrained, and also that your morality is tied to your weight. Like, so you're always beating yourself up if you gain 1 pound, so, and that can derail you.
Yep, it absolutely can. And Jason and I have spent a lot of time in our personal conversations and on the podcast and just in our community. For Jason and I, it's not about our ideal weight anymore. We both have a goal weight number, but he and I are both starting to realize that might not be actually a healthy weight for us. And if we want to get to our goal weight, we could get there. It's going to require that we live even differently than we do now, right? And we might actually be more miserable living at our goal weight than if we just learn to recognize that we can be healthy at a weight that's maybe a little bit higher than our goal weight, right? And that we are not our weight, we are our metabolic wellness, right? What's our blood pressure? What's our LDLs? What's our, like bad fat content? What's our A1C? All of these things is what health is really about, right? Because there are skinny people who drop dead of heart attacks all the time, right? Science is discovering there's this skinny fat thing. So just because you look a certain way does not mean you're healthy. You actually need much different indicators or markers or data to prove to yourself and just to reality that you are in fact healthy. So there's a lot of growth, and there's a lot of, I think, different conversations that we can have in the bariatric community and just in our community, in all of our communities, about health that are more meaningful and more valuable than just the number on the scale.
I also wonder, like, a lot of people want to get to that number, but maybe it'll take you 3 years to get to that number.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's still okay.
Yes.
I have people always asking me after the first year or after the honeymoon phase, can I still lose weight? I'm like, weight's fluid for your entire lifespan. So you could potentially get there. Especially, I see people go through crazy transformations when the first year they really focused on their food. The second year they focused on their food and lifting weights. And then all of a sudden they trained for a 5K and they started running. And like, then their body just changed over time. So could it take 3 years? Yeah. Maybe.
And after surgery, we're always told, like, oh, you got a year to lose it all. And I'm very much discovering, I'm almost 2 years and my body has changed so much in between month 12 and where I currently am. Even though the scale hasn't really changed, everything has in fact changed. So I think it's starting to talk about, like, you're going to lose a bulk of your weight, of your excess weight within that first year. But your tool is always there. Your weight is fluid. Your body is fluid. Your mindset is fluid. Your habits are fluid. Nothing in life is ever really constant. I guess if you want it to be constant, you're going to work pretty hard at that. But the only thing in life that is constant is change. And to get out of that mindset is, if we stay in the mindset of, oh, I only had a year and I blew it, I didn't lose what I wanted to lose, so now I'm a failure, you're going to go back to your old weight. You're going to go back to your old habits. You're going to throw away everything that you've done.
It makes me crazy because I see too many people doing that. And I also see the shame tied into that. So that, like, how, like, most people will see their surgeons at the 1 year mark just as a follow-up. And at that 1 year mark, they're like, oh, I didn't meet my weight loss goal, I'm not going to even show up to my session. And actually, they've done tons of studies on folks that don't show up to their ongoing sessions are usually the ones that regain the weight, because they're not being held accountable. They're not, the shame is sort of like pushing them back down. When I see someone that is coming to me after not a 5-pound weight gain, not a 10-pound weight gain, but a 50-pound weight gain, I'll usually readjust, the goals. But I'll say, hey, when you feel yourself getting out of control next time, and you're really, like, just done with this whole thing, give yourself not only a weight loss goal, but give yourself a weight gain goal. You are not allowed to gain X number of pounds without talking to me. Or without seeking out help. You know, you can't, you need a threshold in both places.
Well,
You know,
and that, well, again, that's, you're providing people the guardrails, right? You're saying like, stay, you know, stay within here. And if you go up here, that's okay. It just means that you need something, you need a tool, you need help that you don't have, and I can provide that for you. That's your alarm. Oh, what a powerful shift in thinking.
Yeah. Because you're not saying, well, now it's done.
Yeah.
Now the work starts. Now it's actually just starting.
Yeah, taking the shame cycle out of things really does refocus people on being able to not, you know, because you can beat yourself into submission. Your brain is powerful enough that you can throw yourself off anytime you want. You just have to continue to talk, you know, bad enough to yourself, and you're eventually going to believe it. And then the wheels come off the wagon, and then you're stuck in, you know, in constant regain. And you know, being able to have somebody that's reaching out on your level and saying, hey, come see me, we'll refocus your plan, we'll get you back on track. That takes it out of the hands of somebody who thinks, well, there's no way I can get myself back on track. And you're reaching out with a hand and saying, you don't have to get yourself back. Come see me. I'll tell you, we'll work through this together. You don't have to be, you know, beat yourself up about it. So that's, that is, like April said, it's very powerful.
Yeah, good.
Wow. Oh, Jana, we cannot thank you enough for your time today. This has just been an awesome, transformative conversation, as always.
This was really fun. This was really fun. You guys are awesome.
We try.
We do our best.
So Jana, where
you give a platform for people to really speak freely about this kind of stuff. A lot of times when, especially with dietitians or, you know, professionals go on and talk at a conference or, you know, speak to a group, it has to be extremely professional, sort of uptight in a way. This is very nice where you can just sort of like talk about your experiences and, you know, everyone's welcome.
It's a real conversation. That's what Jason and I felt was missing from this community. And that is our mission here. This is not fluff. This is not like the superficial. This is no. What's the real deal? What is, how do we get from A to B in the most efficient way and in the healthiest way that will lead to lasting success? Because none of us have time for this bullshit up and down stuff. We need to get there. Yeah. Get there quick so we can. Right. Yeah.
Right.
All right. So where can people find you on social media? Where can they learn about BariBox? Where can they learn about you as the dietitian? Give us all the deets.
Okay, I'll give you ABC. So you can go to Instagram. And my handle's right there at my BariBox. Or you can visit me on Facebook, Jana Wolff RD. I'm always on Facebook. You can even message me through Messenger or DM me, whatever. And then you can also go on to baribox.org, BARIbox.org. Or you can even just learn a little bit more about me at nutritionbyjana.com. And and then I think that's about it. I think those are all of my sites.
It can be in this day and age. Yeah, it's a lot to manage, but we will make sure that all that information is linked in our show notes so that if people want to get in touch with you, if they want to check out BariBox, they will know where to go.
Excellent.
Oh, okay. I think we did it, friends. We thank you for your time, and we thank all of our listeners and all of our followers who have grown with us and who have really kind of created this best community. We always say, like, our followers and the people that come on our podcast, you are the best part of this community. And it's the one place on the internet where I think the internet is doing what it's supposed to do. And that is connecting people, uplifting people, and providing support. So thank you to everybody who listened, follow, like, share, download, shout out, tag, come to the virtual meetups, do all the things. We very, very much appreciate you. And if you don't know, if you would like to support East to West on kind of a different level, you can become a patron of East to West. That just helps us cover our costs in producing this show and providing the support to the community. So if you would like to support us monthly, head to patreon.com/East to West. You can see there's different levels, but we like to support our patrons with little like bonuses or little thank you things along the way. So you can learn all about it there at Patreon. But I think I did it. Jason, my friend, you want to take us out?
Yes, ma'am. Jenna, thank you again for your invaluable conversation today. I think that's going to help a tremendous amount of people, and we can't thank you enough for giving us your time today. And yeah, to everybody else that's listened, like, shared, subscribed, all the things, we appreciate you. Can't thank you enough, because we get to do what we love doing because of your support. And us supporting you guys helps support ourselves as well, because just as we hold you guys accountable, you hold us accountable. So, you know, it makes the world go round. So we just, we appreciate all of you for doing what you do so we can do what we do. And just remember, at the end of the day, you've got this, we've got you, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Jana.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.